Alright, we're working on a 2011 Nissan Frontier here. I'm going to be replacing the driver's side exhaust manifold. Actually, I'm going to be installing it on there. Someone had previously worked on it and it's been removed already, but I've got to get another one on there. And long story short, the catalysts were stolen off this truck, so we're going to be installing the exhaust manifold over here on the driver's. We have the one on the passenger side already, and we're going to be putting the cats, the pre-cat and the post-cat, and getting that on here and getting everything hooked up so we can take it to a muffler shop or whatever to fix the rest of it. So anyways, we're going to get started over here on the driver's side with this exhaust manifold. I'm not for sure exactly how I'm going to get it in there just yet, but I'll show you what I've got here. So this is not too bad. For $100, it gets you a new exhaust manifold, and comes with a new heat shield, and we got the gasket, a new nuts, and this other gasket here. So everything we need. So next thing we're going to do is try to figure out how exactly we're going to get this in here. When it was taken off, I think they had the body lifted, made it a little easier, but it's been lowered since then. So I honestly feel like there's more room on this side than the other side, and I could, with moving a few things, I could get it in here through the top or the bottom, but I think I'm gonna, attempt the bottom there first. But just a view of this, and then we come over to the passenger side. We got this coolant pipe runs through here, makes it a little bit more difficult. Plus you got the dipstick there for the transmission, so a little bit more to deal with. Now on this side over here, I did have to remove the heat shield and push it back. I didn't take it off because there's not much room to get it out, but I had to remove that to be able to get the what was left of the flange on that side. But we're just going to get started chalking the wheel back here and remove this driver's front tire. It's going to make it easier to get in here and see what we're doing. Okay, so just lifted it back here on the frame, and I just placed a jack stand up here somewhere it's going to be out of the way. I got a 21. Alright, start off with, we need to get this old gasket out of here. And I'm just going to take and wipe that surface up a little bit. Now the O2's got yanked off, of course. Now at least we've got the connectors, or the pigtails, intact here. Alright, so we got that one off. Let's get that out of the way. Alright, we're getting ready to get our gasket in here. We got that wiped down, and got this marked here, the engine side, so we don't mess around and put it the wrong way. But you can see it only goes one way as far as this one goes, because those notches line up there. You flip it around, one's wider than the other. So anyways, we're going to go ahead and set that up in there. I think I'm going to try to get this steering shaft out of the way so I can give you a better view here. Just taking this 14, I believe this was. See if I can work this loose. Alright, finally got it there. Alright, so we can kind of get that out of the way a little bit. So hopefully this is going to stay on while I feed the... Oh, it's really loose. It's going to want to fall. So I'm just going to be feeding this right up through the bottom here. So that other side looks like it's way less fun. So I'm going to reach up through here and kind of feed my hand through here a little bit. Alright, so plenty of room. Now I am pretty happy that I was able to find the nuts that go on here. Alright, so there we have that. Let's see if we can get a nut started here. These are threading on nicely. Alright, so we got one on there. Let's get these other ones on. Alright, so I've got the top three in. Just got to get the bottom three. Alright, so far these have all been relatively easy to get to. Now that one towards the front there may be a little bit harder. That's the last one that I have. Okay, so this one over here is the more challenging one. I'm using an extension and coming down through here and getting that one. It's just, and they got also the dipstick there in the way, so it's definitely the more challenging one. But these are all pretty doable, not real bad. Done much worse. Okay, I'm going through and torquing these to 35 foot-pounds. Just want to show you how I'm doing this. I've got this 2.5 foot extension, and just to show you, I'm even on the hardest one with a swivel, using a 14 and a swivel, and I'm getting to every one of these. Of course, you want to start in the middle and work your way out, and even came in between these lines here to get to that one. So these are all easily gotten to for the most part with this extension here. Okay, so we're starting there with the middle one. You see, I've got it's kind of a deep socket here. I got my swivel. Let's go ahead and get it on the next. Alright. So just start in the middle and work your way out. I'll just show you on this end one here. I just went down between these lines here. Okay, now we're back up at this end. Alright, so we've got those torqued down. I fed the heat shield up in here, but it's not going to be bolted down until we get the lower catalyst in place. And I'll probably just leave this undone for now as well, just in case it tries to get back in my way again. So we'll just leave it like that. So I don't have the catalyst yet. Once I get that, we'll follow up here. Okay, so we got all of our catalysts here in today. Let's go ahead and take them out and take a look at them. Okay, so here we have everything laid out. Got all of our callus marked, which side they go on, and you can see we have a whole assortment of gaskets and bolts here. Now this comes with every gasket that you need, even the gaskets that are going to connect to the exhaust downstream there. So these two here. So we got the rings that are going to go around these. Just grab one here. So they're going to go around these and seal. We got two that go onto these ends, and then two more that go on to the other part there. And of course those gaskets, we got 12 bolts, 12 these washers and nuts, and then the studs, we got 4 studs we're going to put in here, and then the washers and nuts for those. So you can see these pipes here take the ring as well, so these are going to connect to these. So on the driver's side, they made this where it's adjustable. However, this pipe is a little bit looser than what I would like to see it. So we'll see how it clamps down. It does have a slot right there on either side, so it is going to clamp down some. So we'll see. It may be fine. If worst case, I'll get it welded up. But it's a little bit loose, but it's probably made that way. But anyways, that's everything we have. This over here is just one piece, and we'll probably get these plugs out, so we don't have to mess with them under there. I don't want to put the O2 sensors in yet, because then I might run the risk of damaging them. So a really good deal on this kit. This was only running like $150, I think, for this whole entire kit, all the aftermarket exhaust and all of the hardware. So pretty good deal. All right, we're going to start on the driver's side. Very first thing, I'm going to pop this ring on here. All right, we'll get the 2 studded bolts put in here. We're going to just go down under here and feed this in, putting anti-seize on everything. Okay, so we've got the stud on there that came from the manifold kit. So I'm going to try to just feed this right through here. Can't really see what I'm doing. There, I got that. Got one started in there. Alright, so I'm going to have to get a hand on it here, get up here and get this one of these nuts in. Alright, I'm just getting the first one on here, and it's kind of setting there a little bit, so it didn't try to fall on me. Now that manifold had came with its own little gasket, and I'm wondering which one's going to be the best for this as far as sealing. Okay, this one is fairly easy. I'm reaching from the bottom. Just back underneath here. We got 2 of them. Okay, now for this one top one, or the topmost one, I'm just reaching through where these brake lines are. And we're going to need to kind of snug these evenly because it's got that ring gasket. We don't want to be snugging them unevenly. We want to make sure we have an even gap when we start tightening this up here. I'm just going to try to start out with a little wrench here and see how this is going to go. It's definitely not as easy getting to these. Switch over here. So I'm just going to basically watch that gap and try to tighten everything down evenly. Now I'm going to reach under and get that lower one. Okay, on the one on bottom, don't really have clearance to get the wrench in there. I'm using my my extended ratchet here. It swivels this way, and this is working the best. This is a Harbor Freight tool, slim ratchet, but it has really come in handy. All right, I think I've got that enough. We'll switch back to the top here. I probably can use this for the others. I've just kind of got the heat shield pushed back out of the way here. These are definitely the more difficult ones, but I just wanted to show me getting to them here that it is doable. I'm actually using this slim ratchet to get to the rest of them. It's easier than the wrench, and I want to be able to get it tighter. As far as torquing them, I don't think we're getting the torque wrench. Now actually I probably can get my long extension and get down there when it's time to torque and at least get these top ones, but I don't think there's going to be any torque in this bottom one down here. So I'm going to continue on here with it. You see what I'm doing, and I'm just going to get in here and finish snugging these up, and then I'll just snug the bottom one down there really snug. Just show you the one on the bottom there. I'm going to snug that one up, just snug, really snug, and then I'll probably can torque these other ones. Maybe might be able to get this one and then get a long extension and torque that one. We'll see what happens. Alright, so you see I got my torque wrench on this side. This is not the lower one, this is the one on the left side here. 35 foot-pounds. Okay, here I am on the one on the right side there. So, able to torque those no problem. I tightened the bottom one with my slim ratchet, and I'm fairly confident that it's really tight. Now this is what this slim ratchet looks like. It's got like a 1/4 inch drive and a 3/8 drive on the other end. I just can't get really rough with these. I have broken these things, but you can get it pretty tight, but you can't just get ridiculous with it. But this thing swivels. They did have these at Harbor Freight. Don't know if they still do, but it's a really handy wrench. I use this a lot. Okay, while we're here at it, we're gonna, I believe, go ahead and take care of this O2 sensor. Alright, so got a new O2 sensor. All the old ones are gone. Get this threaded in. I did put anti-seize on it here, and this stuff is really messy. Alright, I got my O2 socket on. We're gonna get on here with an extension. If I have to, I'll use a swivel. Okay, I've got a swivel on there. I'm going 35 on this as well. Alright, so got that latched and just stuck that back on its clips. Let's get on this lower one now. Okay, so what I've realized here is that where this clamp is going to end up is right where this brace is at. It's going to be difficult fasten this up. So what I'm going to have to do is mock this up and get it where it's lined. I'm probably going to have to bolt it up and put them together and see where we're at, and then put me a mark on there and then take it back off and clamp it down. It's just not going to work. It's going to be too difficult to get to that clamp up here. Okay, so this is the elbow that runs over to the passenger side, and I need to mock this up to make sure that I'm going to have that in position right. So I'm going to have to put this in. I'll leave links to all these parts. And you know what I'm trying to do is basically avoid as much muffler shop work as we can, because if I can get all this to line up and clamp up right, then it'll just be less to have done. So don't know what I've got going to figure out on the passenger side, because it's just cut off over there, but I may be able to get some kind of adapter and fix that up as well. So I removed the piece of pipe that was in there. However, the crimp is so deep on this, there's going to be no way of pushing this pipe in here. And what I'm thinking is that if I've got enough length, we may cut, because this band's welded on, we may just cut it and see what we can do. But it's not going to go in there but just a little ways, and I'm way out of position, I can tell. So see how far off we are here. We're just way over too far. So what I'm thinking, I'm going to have to probably cut that, but let me go ahead and get the other one up here and see what it's looking like. Alright, so we've got this. It's gonna, everything fell on me. Alright, I'm gonna have to bolt that up. Okay, just to show you what fun stuff we've been working on here. This pipe here was really hard to get in. Now I cut off the deeply crimped part there, and I got it all the way down in there, like 2 inches. But it was extremely difficult. I had to sand the pipe and inside and like really cram it in there. But with that, it's actually enough to get this into alignment. Now these bolts, I'll show you that in just a second, but I got some different bolts. I don't know what the size is, but what I realized while messing with this is that all these flanges have a threaded portion on the back side there. So I'm just taking these bolts and running those in there. Same way for the front. Let's get up here. So I got some bolts. I'm just threading it in to that upper catalyst there. Now another thing, I got this all, you know, mocked up here where it was working out. Let me just slide over here and show you this part. Now this, I've determined I can tighten this up where it is, so we're going to go ahead and do that. I'm worried, even with marking it, that if I crimp it and then put it back in here, that everything is not going to align properly like I have it, because this elbow pipe is like, you know, nothing's ever perfect, but that's a really tight fit right there. I'm pretty sure that's not even going to leak. But even if this up here, when I crimp it, if there's an issue with any leaks, it's very easy to weld that there. This, and take that out and weld it. But this here, getting this all fitted was the hard part. So I'm going to go ahead and get the little gaskets in up here. So I just want to show you these bolts I'm using. So I don't know what the thread is, just a fine metric thread, you know, whatever length will work. But look at the comparison. This is the ones that came with it, and I'm not understanding if those are threaded, why it didn't just come with some threaded bolts, or some bolts like this to put in there. But anyways, I'm glad that I figured that out, because this is going to be a lot better, a lot stronger. Alright, so I'm just gonna, now that I know everything's gonna fit, we're gonna go ahead and get the gaskets on here. Just have a burr or something on this one here. Alright. Okay, so I had to take this thing off and shrink this with a hammer, the end of this pipe all the way around. It was not fitting. No way. Alright, so let's get this up into place. Get bolt started. And this will just pull that down like a crush washer and seal it right up. Works for me. Right, we're just going to tighten these up evenly. I'll get my torque wrench over here. We'll go 35 on these as well. And you can see, even though it's got a gap here, it's pulling it right up. It's never perfect. So I'm going 35 on all these. Alright, so there we have that all hooked up, looking nice. We'll get up there and see what we can do with that clamp. Okay, so I was working on snugging this up, and this is going to have to be welded, or I'm going to have to get one of those band clamps, because this pipe is simply too much bigger than this one. And even though I've pulled it down there, you still got the little slot there. It's just all but certain to leak. So it's either going to have to be a band clamp or going to have to be welded up. But I'm going to leave it here for now. We're going to get the other cat's on the other side put together. But I'm pretty happy with this overall. I mean, the fact that everything fit this good is pretty amazing for aftermarkets. And it goes without saying that you're going to need to get the wheels off on both sides. I'm just getting ready to feed this one up under here, and this one's a little bit harder to get to. So just coming up under here, if you can see anything. We've got the one stud up there and the two on this. Alright, and that does kind of sit there a little bit until you can get up here and get these nuts in place. Now this is the actual original manifold, so I don't have a nut that fits this one, so I'm just putting the one back on there. So all I can do is just kind of move this around. It's just, there's no room to really do anything with it. Forgot to put this in there. I need to get that back off. There we are. Alright, I'm just having to pull this back and get back here and get this one up. The one on the other side's even harder to get to. And I might be able to get the torque wrench on one of them. Then I'll just snug them up really good. I think I just popped them loose with a wrench. What was left of the flange anyways. Alright, so I gotta get the other one on the other side. I'm just kind of pushing this out of my way. And let's see. Let's push this back a little bit. Snug this one up some. Okay, I'm just up underneath. Said you kind of got to push that out of your way. It's like really tough to remove it without moving a bunch of stuff. So I'm just working around it. I did have to take the 10 millimeters that were holding that heat shield. I'll just show you putting them back on. And I said basically I'm just going to snug these up as best I can with a wrench. Okay, so all I did was take just a boxed in 14 millimeter and I just tightened all those as tight as I could get them with it, and they are tight. We're going to go ahead and push this back a moment, get our O2 sensor in here. This one here is super easy to get to. So 35 foot-pounds. Those old connectors like to stick, so you'll probably be using a pick tool like me. That's just all the dirt. Alright. We'll come back to that heat shield. I'm going to get this other cat on. Alright, this side is going to be easy. I mean, compared to that other side. Of course, there's nothing much I can do to hook this up. So this is what we got here. This is where it was cut. And it was the same on the other side, except I just took that elbow out. Now I'm thinking I'll get a maybe able to get a small flange or something and connect up to this, or at the very least get it welded. That's a 2-inch, and then of course just match up the flange. I got the gasket, and just match up a flange if I can find one. It's a little tail piece, 6-inch, 4-inch, whatever I need here to get this from here to here. But it should be pretty simple from here on. And I do have my little ring on here, by the way. Let me pull it back here a minute. And these had to be shrunk. The upper catalyst was fine, but these rear ones had to be shrunk. But you know, like I said, with aftermarket, nothing's ever perfect, but they're pretty good. And for the price, it's definitely not bad to get this back together again. Alright, so let me get this started here. I'm having trouble. Now this one is not bolting up as good as the other side, but I'm thinking with that ring gasket it's going to be fine. They just didn't get the bend just exactly right. So this ended up with a little bit of a gap here, but I think it's still enough. We're going to find out at least. The problem is it's hitting right here. It's just, it needs to have been bent up quite a bit more. I mean, at least 2 or 3 inches. This thing needs to come up. Said this is not matching up, so I'm either going to have to wind up getting another one or see if the muffler shop can do something with this, because this is just made wrong. Nothing much I can do. Otherwise I could have got a flange and hooked to this. So I'm just getting these in the heat shield. There is one that goes on this lower part, but I'm not going to be reconnecting that one. These two right here are just fine. Now we'll just get the ones on the other side the same way. And I guess we need to go ahead and hook up our lower O2 sensors as well. Okay, now these are side specific on here on the, and this is where our blue one's going to go here. And it's tucked way up in here. It's really, wow. All right, and then this one, they already got some little bit of anti-seize on it. Okay, now we're over on the drivers. Alright, let's get this tightened up. Just snugging that up with a ratchet. I'm not going to get my torque wrench in there. And this is just the green one. I'll make sure this Alright, I think I've got it on there. Maybe. Okay, I don't know where it was previously, but I tucked it way back up in there. I don't want to get on this drive shaft here. I'll probably come back and even zip tie it. But I didn't have it pushed in all the way. I had to push it a little harder. Okay, so I did get another catalytic converter, the one that goes on the rear here, and this one bolted up nicely. So this was the only issue, was this piece right here. It wasn't the upper catalytic converter. The other one just didn't have the right bend that it needs right here. So the shop should be able to just get a flange and just connect it right here. This over here connected just fine, and probably weld up that one section that didn't clamp together properly. Okay, so we got this to the muffler shop, and this has been welded here, and they put a flange and welded it here, and then the other side's took care of. Now, after getting this sealed up here, found a problem I didn't know I had up here. Let me show you that. Okay, so we look right here. Did not see this when I was working on this initially, but this has been completely cut. So when they were cutting this off, they'd cut that there and totally missed it. So It's unfortunate, but now I'm going to have to change this out, and it's going to be more difficult now that everything's hooked up. But we're essentially going to have to get this all unbolted here again, and I guess it'll be a good time to show you, on this side, taking this out. It's going to be a little bit more difficult though. So here is our new exhaust manifold. So we've got our gasket, everything just like the other side. Comes with a new heat shield and everything. Okay, so I don't know exactly how hard this side is going to be to remove. One of the first things I'm going to do is get the heat shield off, and what I'm planning on doing here is going to take these 3 here nuts out of the way, and I'm going to disconnect the exhaust down below. And then of course the heat shield, I can't really slide it off just yet, but I want to kind of push it back out of the way and get these 3. Seen me do that earlier. So I'm going to come down below and I'm just going to disconnect it right here. If all goes well here, we're just going to disconnect this and just try to take this whole section out, or I could possibly disconnect it there, but then it might still be in the way. So I think I'm just going to take it here, take this whole section out. Okay, my idea of taking this out as one piece didn't work. There's not enough slack, so I had to disassemble them. Now I wanted to show you the difference in this side. You can see how there's just not as much room as there is on this other side here, on the driver's side. So the very first thing I'm going to do, let's get under here, we're going to take this heat shield here out, and then I'm just going to see if I can first get this out of here. And if I can't even do that, then we're going to have to figure something else out. Let me show you the other side. So you can see the space in here, much more room to work with. Okay, let's see what we can do with this. Well, it's not cooperating so far. Okay, so I can't get it down that way. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get this transmission tube. There's a 10mm right here. I'm going to take that. If you look down there, let me zoom in. If you look right down here, we've got a 10mm on each side. Let's see if I can get in here. There's a 10mm. I want to clean this up a little bit before I go to taking this loose. And I want to also, I just cannot get a good image of that from here. But anyways, we're going to be taking this out and this tube and just try to pull this out of the way. Sometimes just a little bit of room makes all the difference, and this pipe, removing this is no big deal, whereas taking out coolant pipes and everything is going to be a lot of work. And I might even consider lifting the engine slightly as opposed to having to remove all this. This is going to be too much work draining all this. Okay, so this is one of those deals where you got to take one thing loose to take something else loose. I had to take the shifter bracket here loose to be able to get to both of the 10mm on that. Also got a 10mm here, of course the one that was up here. So we're ready to go ahead. We're going to lift this out of here, try to get it up and out of the way. Now I did clean that up down there, but I want to get something and cover that with. And there's also a wire clip that is on this. So I'm going to try to work this out of here now. Okay, so not too bad. Had to wiggle it around a little bit. So we'll get that set aside. And we'll get a cap and put on that. Alright, so this got one of these little caps, kept that hole off there. Okay, so this heat shield refuses to get out of my way. I'm going to try to use my extension and swivel like I did on the other side, and I'm going to get all of the ones that I can get easily, and then we'll get to the ones that are a little bit more difficult to get to. That was super tight. Oh, wow. So I'm getting to these top 3 here that are fairly easy to get to. I'm just going to remove these first, and we'll just kind of go from there. I'm thinking that if I can't get this heat shield out easily, I'm just going to pull it out and install it with the manifold, just to avoid having to take a lot of other things loose. I'm just going to kind of playing it by ear on this one. I'm going to get this one, and this one off here first. Okay, so this is where I'm at now. I got those top 3. Cannot get to this one down here yet. Got this pulled as down as far as I can pull it, and I'm getting this one up here. And I'm going to have to figure out what to do about this one. Well, I actually got this one here too. I need to get, I'll probably get it from up here too. It's just easier than trying to get might be able to get my extension through here. But anyways, I'm going to get these, and I'll see what I can do about the last one that's right there. Okay, so here's what I figured out on this one. I just simply shoved this extension right up through here, and this one, just as luck would have it, was the tightest one. So anyways, we got this here loose. It's just kind of shoving that heat shield over, and this manifold's going to be loose. And I guess because I don't have any better ideas, I'm going to simply shove the new heat shield up in here, if I can even get this manifold out, which I don't know just yet, because like I said, the space is limited, and we might actually have to remove some more things or do something different here, but I'm going to see what happens here. Alright, so we got it loose here. I'm just going to try to slide it down. It looks like that it's going to go. Alright, so there we have a really nice cut there. There's also cut here, so so it actually slipped down through here very easily. So the only real issue is the heat shield is difficult to work around, and we're going to have to clean that surface up there, but I'm going to stick it back in there just the way that I took it out. I don't see any other good way of doing it, and I was able to get them out that way without too hard of a time. They were just really tight, and that's what made it difficult. I won't be able to reuse this one. This is the one on the end that was super tighter than the rest, and I'll have to get a different one to use there. But going back, you know, we'll tighten these to like 35 foot-pounds. Will never be this bad again. They're just super tight from the factory. Alright, we got this cleaned up. Put this side towards the engine. Or I'm going to start feeding this up through here with the heat shield. because we can't get the heat shield in here after this is in place. Okay, so I had to wiggle it into place there. Took a minute. Let's start getting all of these back on. Said I'm hopefully this heat shield is going to move around just like the other one to get out of my way to get these all in place. Now this new shield actually slides down here way better and out. I'm not sure why I couldn't get the original one out like that, but if I can get this one out, then, or if I can get it out like this, then I should have no problems with getting it back in. At least let it hang down here, but it's pushing all the way down, so that's going to make things much easier, to say the least. So I'm not sure why the original wouldn't push down, but I just didn't seem to have the room, and tried everything, couldn't get it to get out of the way. So I'm just going to start in the middle here, tightening these down, and then I'm going to get the torque wrench and we'll start torquing them here. Okay, so what I realized, the reason I could pull that down farther is because this was tilted down. When I started snugging this up, I realized there wasn't going to be a way to get the heat shield back up. So you see about where I have it positioned right here at this lobe. This is like as far as you can get this thing. So I've got these snug down. I'm going to try to go through, and we're going to get, you got a swivel. We're going to try to torque as many of these as we can here, 35 foot-pounds. And so just starting in the middle. Said it's all doable, it's just not very pleasant because of this heat shield here in the way. It's definitely harder than the other side. Now I suppose you could lift the engine up off its motor mount. Alright, so I'm going to get in here to this one. Let's get this one torqued. So they were way worse taking loose. They were extremely tight. Now the one on the far end down there, I'm going to try to get the torque wrench up in the engine there. Let's see if I can get to that one. And of course we'll have to go back and double check these. I've determined I'm not going to get to this one with the torque wrench. I'm just going to snug it up as tight as I can get it. May put a little cheater pipe on this. Just using a little bit of an extension. Okay, I want to show you what I did on this one going back. I've got my extension. Can't see it there. There's a swivel. I'm going underneath the shield, just kind of pushing it up and going underneath. I'm just coming out here, torquing it. So I was able to torque all but one, and that's better than you can do on some. So just using a little swivel. So I went 35 foot-pounds. before we can put the heat shield. Of course, got to go over here and hook up the exhaust, and y'all see me do that before. I'm just going to go ahead and get that in place, and then we'll get the heat shield down. Hopefully this thing's going to quieten down finally. We'll have to get our dipstick back in place. Probably need to do that before I even mess with the exhaust. So I'm going to go ahead and get that in. Now, I don't know that removing this helped a thing in the world, because it seems like I didn't have much more slack regardless. Now, it's got a little seal on it down here on the end of this dipstick. You want to make sure that that's on there. Anything that can leak will leak. Alright, so I wanted to figure out. Okay, make sure that seal's in place. Alright, so I'm just going to get my 10 millimeters back in here now. Now these down here, there's a couple on each side. Alright, I already got the 2 down there on the gasket going into the dipstick. Okay, I also got the shifter cable mounted back on the 2 10 millimeters. Okay, so now I can just pretty much just hook the exhaust back up here. I'll put the 2 10 millimeters or 3 in the heat shield. Remember to put this little heat shield back up here. We're just about finished here. Okay, all of the exhaust is hooked up back down through here. Just need to get the heat shield. So we got all that back in place. Then there's nothing left to do than test this out, see if we finally got this thing quieting down. Alright, so we got this thing quieting down again. Here's a look at this exhaust manifold, and you can see it almost got cut completely through there. Just locked a little bit. So that's going to do it on replacing these catalysts and these exhaust manifolds. I hope you found the video helpful. Please like, share, and subscribe, and thank you for watching.